When talk show host Melanie Hayes tried to corner Carrie Underwood on live TV, she never expected Carrie to turn the tables with a single, stunning line. The studio was electric as Carrie, poised in a sleek navy pantsuit, took her seat. Melanie, known for her sharp tongue and viral gotcha moments, started with harmless questions but soon veered into more provocative territory. "You've been vocal about your values," Melanie said, leaning in. "Do you think it's responsible for a public figure to share such divisive views?" Carrie remained composed. "As an artist, my job is to share my truth, not dictate what others believe." Melanie pushed further. "But don't you worry that your views might make you seem out of touch?" Carrie tilted her head, her voice calm yet firm. "Outdated," she repeated. "Holding on to values like kindness, integrity, and faith isn't about being outdated. It's about staying grounded." The audience erupted in applause, catching Melanie off guard. But Carrie wasn't finished. "Isn't diversity about more than just appearances? Shouldn't it include different ways of thinking too?" Melanie hesitated, momentarily stunned. Carrie continued, her voice unwavering. "We live in a world where people shout over each other instead of listening. Real conversations require respect, even when we disagree." Silence filled the studio, the weight of her words undeniable. Then, thunderous applause. Melanie, clearly rattled, forced a smile. "Well, you certainly know how to make a point." Carrie's steady gaze never wavered. "I think it's important to stand firm when you believe in something." Melanie scrambled to regain control, but the moment had shifted. Carrie hadn't just held her ground, she had owned the room. Authenticity backstage. Producers were already buzzing. Word of Carrie's clapback had spread. Across the production floor, clips of her response were being flagged as viral material. And social media coordinators were preparing to upload the moment online, before the show even finished airing. Meanwhile, in the audience, a middle-aged man leaned over to his wife and whispered. There was something else. She really stood her ground. His wife nodded, her expression one of admiration. "That's what we need more of," she said. "People who don't back down when it matters." Carrie's team, waiting in the green room, exchanged glances of approval. They knew this wasn't just another interview. It was a defining moment. One of her assistants turned to another and said, "This is going to explode online. Just wait," and they were right. As the segment concluded and the credits rolled, viewers at home were already grabbing their phones. By the time Carrie stepped off the stage, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram were flooded with clips of her words. Hashtags like #Carrie Underwood, clapback, and #Authenticity Matters trended within minutes. The responses were overwhelmingly positive. Fans praised Carrie's composure and grace, while others who hadn't previously been fans expressed newfound respect for her. Even some of Melanie's regular viewers chimed in, calling out the host for her aggressive tactics. Carrie just schooled her, one comment read, accompanied by a gif of applause. But it wasn't just social media taking notice. By the next morning, major news outlets had picked up the story. Headlines ranged from "Carrie Underwood stands her ground in heated interview" to "Country star delivers viral clapback." The moment had become more than just a viral clip. It was a cultural conversation about respect, authenticity, and standing firm in your beliefs. But as the world dissected the interview, Carrie reflected on the moment with her usual quiet resolve, knowing this was about more than just a viral sensation. Carrie Underwood woke up the next morning to find her phone buzzing with notifications. Friends, family, fans, even people she hadn't spoken to in years were sending her messages of support. Headlines and viral clips flooded her social media feeds, each one praising her poise and dignity. But Carrie wasn't looking for validation. For her, the real impact lay in the messages from everyday people who saw a piece of themselves in her. One message in particular stood out. It was from a young woman named Anna in Montana. "I watched your interview last night." The message read, I've always struggled to speak up for myself, but seeing you stand your ground inspired me. Thank you for reminding me that it's okay to have a voice." Carrie smiled, deeply moved, for her moments like this were what made the spotlight worthwhile. It wasn't about the fame or the headlines. It was about connecting with people and making a difference, however small. Meanwhile, the broader conversation was taking on a life of its own. On morning talk shows, pundits debated the ethics of Melanie's approach, with many calling her out for crossing the line. There's a difference between tough journalism and outright ambush, one commentator said on a national morning show. What Carrie did wasn't just a clapback. It was a masterclass in grace under fire. But it wasn't just the media weighing in. Ordinary people were sharing their own stories of feeling judged or underestimated, drawing parallels to Carrie's experience. Social media became a hub for these discussions, with hashtags like #GraceUnderFire and #RespectEachOther trending for days. Even Melanie Hayes wasn't immune to the backlash. Clips of her visibly stunned expression were shared widely, often accompanied by captions like, "When your plan backfires." Her regular viewers began questioning her tactics, and some even called for her to issue a public apology. Carrie, however, stayed above the fray. When a reporter caught up with her outside a Nashville recording studio and asked for her thoughts on the viral moment, she simply smiled and said, "I'm just grateful. People are talking about the importance of kindness and respect. That's what really matters." Her humility only added to the public's admiration. Articles emerged praising her as a role model, and fans rallied to defend her against critics. It became clear that this moment wasn't just about one interview. It was about the values people wanted to see reflected in public figures. But while the world debated and discussed, Carrie focused on her next step, determined to use the momentum for something meaningful. A week after the interview, Carrie Underwood found herself back in her Nashville home, sipping tea on her back porch as the sun dipped below the horizon. The chaos of the past few days had finally started to settle, but the impact of that moment on Live Tonight with Melanie Hayes still lingered. Carrie had watched as the conversation expanded far beyond herself. From classroom discussions to workplace dialogues, people were talking about respect, authenticity, and the courage it takes to stand firm in a world that often pressures us to conform. She couldn't have planned it, but she welcomed the change her manager had suggested, capitalizing on the buzz by doing a follow-up interview with a friendlier host, or even a short documentary about the power of speaking out. But Carrie wasn't interested in exploiting the moment. Instead, she wanted to do something that aligned with her values. A few days later, Carrie announced she would be donating a portion of her upcoming tours proceeds to organizations focused on fostering respectful dialogue and empowering young people to express their beliefs without fear. Her announcement was met with overwhelming support, further cementing her image as someone who didn't just talk about integrity, but lived it. As she reflected on the whirlwind of events, Carrie felt a deep sense of peace. Sometimes she thought aloud, "We're put in uncomfortable situations to remind us of who we are and what we stand for." Her words echoed in her mind as she posted a final message on her Instagram account. It was a simple note to her fans, paired with a candid photo from her latest performance. "Thank you all for your kindness and support. Remember, standing up for yourself doesn't mean tearing someone else down. It means showing the world who you are and letting that speak for itself. Stay true to you." The message quickly went viral, with thousands of fans sharing it, alongside their own stories of finding the courage to stand up for themselves. Carrie's moment had transformed into a movement, one grounded in the belief that everyone deserves to be heard and respected. And as Carrie stepped onto the stage for her next concert, the roar of the crowd reminded her that sometimes The strongest voice is the one that speaks with grace and conviction. The lesson was clear. Standing firm in your beliefs isn't just about winning an argument. It's about inspiring others to find their voice too. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories that celebrate courage, authenticity, and the human spirit. Let us know in the comments. When was a time you stood your ground? And what did you learn from it?